Thank you for joining us for Broncos Training Camp 2019, powered by Ford. I'm Phil Milani, alongside Matt Boyer and Andrew Mason. What do you think about this, a afternoon practice here in the heat?
Oh, it's a scorcher out here. It's a scorcher. You know, the guys are coming off their only 5-day stretch of camp, off day yesterday, so they're feeling good. But Mace, this turnaround here, this next 4-day stretch is going to be tough.
Yeah, especially today and tomorrow, because effectively you've got 2 practices in a 22-hour span, because you'll be back on the field from 9:15 to noon tomorrow. So that off day yesterday, it came at a nice time, but I hope the players got their physical and mental rest in, because the next 22 hours are going to be pretty rough.
Let's head down to the field and check in with Alexis Perry. Alexis, it looks like some guys made the most out of their rest day yesterday.
Yeah, you know, I think all these guys are really eager and excited to be back out here on the field here today, but there are some guys who've had to take some extra time off as they've been nursing some nagging injuries. The first, of course, being tight end Jake Butt. He missed Sunday and Monday's practices. Coach Fangio said that this was to be expected given the injury that he suffered. He was out here while they were stretching, but I don't think he's out here anymore, and he was definitely not wearing pads, so don't expect a lot from him today. Guard Ron Leary, who tore his Achilles last October, was also absent from Monday's practice, but that was more protocol than anything. Given it was the longest stretch of practice this camp, the staff felt it was wise to give him an extra day off. As for Juwan Winfrey, who was hit in the leg Sunday and missed Monday's practice, he is out here and he looks good to go. Guys, back to you.
Some work off to the side along with River Craycraft. One guy who's not feeling any injury problems is the birthday boy, Phillip Lindsay.
25 years young. You know, it's been very impressive to see him so far at the start of this camp, because the hand looks great. We knew the movement was going to be there as far as him cutting inside and outside, and the jump cuts look there, but we wanted to know how he would respond with the wrist injury. He's got the brace, Mace, and it doesn't look like it's affecting him at all. He looks great.
Yeah, we're now heading into our 4th day with pads, and in the first 3 days with full pads and the contact being amped up, Phillip Lindsay showed no signs of issues with that wrist. The next test is when you get into preseason games. The contact gets a little more physical out there, so there are going to be some shots on that wrist, but if it continues to hold up well, he's going to be in good shape.
He joked the other day, he said his injured wrist sometimes feels better than the other wrist. Maybe he's just trying to prove a point, but Lindsay is heading into year 2 with that same mindset that allowed him to have success as a rookie.
You know, I always going to have the chip on my shoulder. That's just who I am. Mindset-wise, it's just, you know, I feel like I got to go at it even more. You know, I hold myself accountable to being more of a leader because I know, you know, I've been here 1 year. I know the ropes a little more, you know, and, you know, Flacco is a great leader, and, you know, and he needs help, you know, and that's what we're here for.
And Phillip Lindsay's idol, Terrell Davis, was out at practice the other day. We had a chance to talk to him a little bit, ask him about what he's looking for from this season. And Matt, he said he thinks this could be a top 5 defense.
I think he's right. I think just based on what we've seen from the 2 biggest names on defense, Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, in those one-on-one periods where they go against the offensive line versus defensive line, Miller's bend looks like it's in mid-season form. The pass rush moves look like they're there. And then we saw Chubb a couple of days ago working with the dummy after practice. His moves look like they're on point. So I'm not really worried about the defense. I think TD's right in a top 5 projection. I think the Broncos definitely have the potential to get there. But Mace, they can't get there unless they get consistent offensive production, and that starts with Flacco.
Yeah, that top 5 defense potentially has made life a little rough for the offense over the last few days of training camp. The pressure on Joe Flacco has led to some errant throws, and so what I want to see from the offense in the next 4 days, I want to see good work from the offensive line. I want to see them give Joe Flacco and the backup quarterbacks a cleaner pocket on a more consistent basis. You go back to Monday's practice before the respite, they took some steps in that area, but then you had some unforced errors from the receivers downfield, a lot of drops, so they need to get some things cleaned up if that offense is going to be where it wants to be.
I had a chance to talk with TD the other day and said, hey, what do you think is a reasonable season outlook?
But I think overall, I do like the sense of where this team is, and I certainly believe that they should be in the mix at a minimum this year. And then again, if a ball bounces the right way, who knows? They may be a playoff team.
Who knows? Maybe
Hey!
they could be a playoff team if
I'll
the
take
ball bounces, at least in the mix. That's what we like to hear. But time for a quick break now. When we come back, we'll be joined by KOA News Radio's Ryan Edwards. Plus, we'll hear from the Broncos' first-round pick.
The best Broncos banter each and every week, that is Broncos Beat.
When we even asked him about the defensive line and where these guys slot in, he said, look, I expect everybody to be able to play everywhere.
They're all in their quote-unquote contract year. That usually means that you play at optimum level.
Catch up on all the latest storylines with your favorite beat writers every Monday evening at 6:30 on TV 20.
For Chris, quarterback look at him before the snap and say, okay, I'm not going that way.
Broncos Beat for the most in-depth coverage of your Denver Broncos.
Broncos fans, sign up for the Broncos Fit 7K on Sunday, September 1st. The run walk takes participants through the Sloan's Lake neighborhood and finishes on the 50-yard line at Broncos Stadium at Mile High. All participants will receive a Broncos 60th Anniversary Finisher's Medal, a historical t-shirt, and post-race entry into the Broncos Fit Expo with players, cheerleaders, and Miles the mascot. Go to Broncos7k.com and register now.
I don't really feel pressure. I feel like my expectations for myself are pretty high. And, I feel like when my expectations exceed everyone else's, that, I don't really feel pressure from everyone else rather than pressure from myself. So, but that's backed by my work ethic and, what I do out here every day and pushing myself. So.
The rookie expects a lot from himself, even just his first couple of practice already making a mark for the Broncos. We are back here on Broncos Training Camp 2019, powered by Ford. I'm Phil Milani alongside Matt Boyer. And now, pleased to be joined by KOA News Radio's Ryan Edwards. Ryan, thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely. Anytime.
What have you seen from Noah Fant out there these first couple of days? And what do you expect from, a first-round pick leaving his mark already here on training camp?
Well, there's been some good moments. There's definitely been some good moments. I mean, I think people sometimes highlight some of the frustrations maybe in pass blocking, pass pro, and maybe a couple of the drops. But in the reality, again, these are rookie players, and I think we all say it out loud. We all say tight ends usually take about a year to get up to a certain level of speed. And as there's only been about, as I think Andrew Mason told me, there's been 9 tight ends with 500 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns in a season to kick things off. So if he could somehow get to those numbers, I think we'd all be pretty thrilled. Overall, I think he's done a really good job, and some of any kind of negativity, I think, is more people just expecting maybe a little bit too much.
One of those guys that he's, not necessarily in competition with, but a guy who's a big part of that tight ends room that we're now seeing a lot of. We didn't see him at all last year, was Troy Fumagalli. What have you seen as far as his ability to kind of take on this offense? And also, it looks like he's picked up with the run blocking very well.
He has, and he had a couple of chances to flash early on during training camp. And the thing with Troy Fumagalli, and we saw it over the course of the offseason, Joe Flacco really liked him. And he's had a history of taking basically any kind of tight end. Hey, give me any tight end. I'm going to make a receiver out of him. I'm going to make him a viable weapon in my offense. And Troy Fumagalli seemed to be the biggest beneficiary. And the thing, we already know he can block. We already know he has that capability. It was how much, as far as the pass-catching game, can he translate at the pro level. And so far, I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't got to see too much of Jake Butt out there, but you mentioned blocking so important. Jeff, that's what Jeff Hireman's been doing most of. What do you think about this offensive line? Because so far through camp, guys like Von Miller, Bradley Chubb have been dominating.
Yeah, the defensive line has really, really been good, and they're just flying to the ball. A lot of the inconsistencies that come on the offensive side of the ball, interceptions, they're as a result of the defensive line, that pressure. So, yeah, that they need some more time to gel. They really haven't had a ton of reps together. Even Ron Leary is playing kind of sparingly in there. Don Barclay's getting a lot of opportunities. So, yeah, you need a little bit more time for them to work together. And so you think about that. You're subbing in and out your right guard. You're asking Juwan James to get used to a different right guard every single day. And then on the left side, Garrett Bowles has shown some moments to be able to work with Bradley Chubb. But Bradley Chubb is just having a great camp. And that's something that's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to continue to get better. And then Dalton Reisner's been spectacular. I've been very, very impressed with Dalton Reisner in the early going. And Connor McGovern just needs to continue to work on some of those snaps. But otherwise, Just give it some more time. I think it's going to come together.
And you recently made the move over to KOA. Tell fans where they can listen to you these days.
Yeah, right now, Broncos Country Tonight's on from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. weekdays. So please give us a check out there. You can always just follow me on Twitter, R. Edwards Radio.
And then plus, we're doing some stuff for Channel 20 as well.
That's right.
Broncos Talk, that'll be airing tonight at 6:30, right?
Yep, Broncos Talk with both
Who's
of
on
you.
that show?
That's
We'll
right.
be on the show today. Yeah, a little bit of a preview right here.
Yep, and Bob Holtzman is on tonight. And then, of course, Andrew Mason, Steve Atwater. It's a lot of fun. Broncos Talk, tonight, 6:30 on Channel 20.
All right, Ryan. Well, we appreciate you hopping on the show. Let's go back down to Alexis Perry. Alexis, there's another surprise tight end that's been in the headlines a little bit.
Yeah, there is another guy that is trying to come out here and prove that he has what it takes to be an NFL tight end. That is the undrafted rookie out of the University of Wyoming, Austin Fort. You guys do not sleep on this guy. He has caught a number of passes from Joe Flacco and Drew Lock on the first and second team offense. So let's take a listen to what he's trying to do while he's out here.
It's been fun, man. It's been a grind. Just trying to do everything I can to make the team right now, but it's been fun. We've competed. I thought the offense did some good things, and I was able to make some catches and get loose a couple times. So just trying to enjoy every day. As a rookie, this game, it happens so fast, and you got to be locked in. So just trying to get my job done and help the offense move the ball. But at the same time, we want guys out there that can make plays and want the ball in their hands. So I'm just trying to play to my strengths and just do everything I can.
In his ability to win some matchups over the middle, Fort is working to be one of the best blockers out there as well, crediting Coach Wade for the strides that he's made in that area of the game since signing with the Broncos in April. Guys?
Thank you very much, Alexis. Pretty cool story, Austin Ford, Wyoming kid just coming down I-25, and he's been making the most of the reps, especially with Jake Butt out of here.
Yeah, that's been vital for him to be able to get an opportunity with Jake Butt out, and then I guess my man Fumagalli, he's been practicing. He hadn't missed any practice. Well, he had a hip injury, didn't he?
Yeah.
He missed a couple of practices too. So with that whole deal there, he's really making the most of his opportunities. And the guy looks like he's fast. He's got good hands. He's not afraid to go across the middle, but nobody is right now because nobody's hitting.
Well, the one thing
Steve Atwater ain't out there.
One thing I thought was great about Fort, though, was the fact that even when he does get those first team reps, it doesn't look too big for him. He doesn't have that deer in the headlights look. It seems like he's got in with Coach Wade Harmon. We had just heard from Alexis, and he's been able to kind of take that coaching and apply it to those first team reps. And when you got a guy, a rookie, an undrafted rookie like Fort, who can step in and play with the second, third team, first team, it doesn't matter. You've got a guy that you can rely on.
Exactly. Our thanks to Ryan Edwards for hopping on the show. Now we bring in the Ring of Famer, Steve Atwater. Steve, what do you think about how Coach has been organizing practices here so far? Afternoon practice, you like giving them a little bit of extra?
Yeah, I really love it. And then, at first, no one really understood why we would have afternoon practices. And then when they explained it, everyone said, oh, wow, that makes perfect sense. After an off day, guys are normally a little bit groggy coming in the morning. So let's get the meetings over with earlier in the morning and then come out on the field later on in practice. And we'll take a chance if it rains. We'll kind of roll the dice on that. So I think it was a great move. And he has everything thought out.
Meteorologist Phil Milani, though, said no storms.
Right.
Exactly. Rare day, rare afternoon here in Colorado. Camp is such a drag. Yeah. One of the things I know some of these guys like to do is come off the field and talk to this guy, Steve Atwater.
Why wouldn't they?
What's your relationship like with some of the players nowadays, Steve?
Well, it's really nice. I'm honored to really be in a position where I can interact with the guys so much. I normally talk to the safeties more so than anyone just because I kind of can relate to, what they're doing back there. I got a chance to talk to Kareem Jackson a little bit there on Alumni Day. That was on Saturday. And that wasn't Saturday. That was on
Monday.
Yes. Yep. That was nice getting a chance to catch up with him. And, he was talking about how nice it was to meet me. But I can imagine that the guys in the room, he's going into his 10th or 11th year. 11th year?
10th year.
10th year.
Yep.
And I would imagine the guys are looking at him for that leadership role, kind of the way he's looking at me as an older guy who can give him a little bit of wisdom. So definitely a blessing to have him in the room. I love his passion for the game. His motor is nonstop. He's a playmaker. He comes up. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but every bit of that 190, 200 pounds that he has, he brings on every tackle, and I love that.
It's the same way when Flacco comes off the field. He goes straight to Matt. Hey, what'd you think about practice?
Exactly.
Well, we had a chance to talk with Kareem Jackson afterwards, and he mentioned that it's a thrill to be able to talk to a legend like Steve after practice.
Growing up watching him, and, the way he played the game, his style of play, for him to be here on a day-to-day basis, to kind of talk to him and, talk about the game when he played, and just to kind of hear some of the things that he did when he played, is definitely awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool to be able to see. So I got to see you guys chatting a little bit. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, and I can imagine. I'm not saying that I'm on the level of Ronnie Lott, but I remember when I got a chance to meet Ronnie Lott and talk with him, and then, of course, being here with Dennis Smith for all those years, it was really a treat for me. So, hopefully I can provide a little bit of value.
Well, this practice is well underway now. What do you want to see today?
Well, I'd like to see, how guys respond after that first day. We're now kind of in that stretch where it's not necessarily dog days of camp, but we've got a 4-day stretch before the next break, and then it's Hall of Fame game week. So I want to see how they respond just physically, hopefully no injuries, but I want to see physically where everybody's at.
Yeah. For me, I like to see the offense have some more sustained drives. I like to see more completed passes, less frustration by Joe Flacco because of the offensive line, and that's a lot of that's going to have to do with that offensive line being able to block Bradley Chubb and Von Miller and the rest of those guys. They're doing a lot of disguising on the defensive side of the ball, so it makes it a little bit tough for them. But I want to see more progress on the offensive side today.
Alexis is down on the field. She has a better idea of what the vibe is like today. What do you want to see down there?
Down here, Phil, you can tell these guys are just excited to be out here, like I mentioned earlier. I want to keep my eye out on number 68, Elijah Wilkinson. Rich Scangarello, he said last week that he has been one of the best surprises for this team so far. So kind of to add to what Steve was saying, to get that offensive line gelling here, it's only going to be good things for Joe Flacco and the rest of the offense moving forward. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Yeah, that was a big deal when Scangarello said that, because we haven't seen too much praise coming from this coaching staff.
Yeah, they're a little stingy with the with a couple of it, but those are earned. Those are, and it starts with Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio, whether you're talking about a veteran guy like Joe Flacco, we heard him talk about Drew Lock and the fact that he's got a lot to work on. Vic is always looking for the perfection. He's looking for the refining of the details. And when you've got a coach like that, that makes you want to raise your level.
Yeah, it does. And also, it's still early in camp. We've had 5 days of practice. And, I think, coaches sometimes got to be slow to give that praise, because you never know. You give a guy praise and then goes to his head, and the next several days he comes out and has bad practices. So I truly understand that. They will give plenty of praise when it's due. But again, it's a little early right now.
All right. Well, practice back at 9:15 tomorrow. If we could look at the camp schedule, back at 9:15 on Thursday, Friday, and then we have the stadium practice on Saturday. That'll be kind of a cool deal, 2:15 on Saturday down there. All right, that is going to do it for us today. Our thanks to Andrew Mason, Ryan Edwards, Steve Atwater, Alexis Perry, Matt Boyer. I'm Phil Milani. This has been Broncos Training Camp 2019, powered by Ford.